developer update for the upcoming mid chapter was just released, and this is going to include all the perks and supposed base kit changes, um, and the prestige stuff as well. So I might brush through a lot of this, in terms of like the prestige system and all. We already know how that's going to work, so let's just quickly get into it then. Yeah, progression system. That's going to be that's the prestige system. So yeah, we can just sort of skip this. We know how it's going to work. Um, Shrine of Secrets. Right. Purchasing a perk through the Shrine of Secrets will make all Tier 1 versions immediately available. Alright, so it's basically just the same as what it is. Matchmaking incentives. See here. When the number of killers to survivors differs too much from the ideal ratio, we'll offer a blood point bonus to anyone who opts to play the needed role. This ranges from 25 to 100% depending on the demand levels. Alright, that's fair enough. I hope that doesn't create an imbalance though. And you also have to remember, like, a lot of survivors play in a survive with friends, meaning, even if there is an incentive, they can't both play killer, so, they're not going to obviously go and play killer. This is really only going to work for solo survivors. But, that's fine. It should maybe help. I don't really find any problems with the queue times anyway. Let's keep going. Playing in a group can also net you a bonus if survivors are needed at the time. However, this will only apply if your group's average matchmaking rating is currently in demand. Uh, Matchmaking will be they'll be turned off if you don't have crossplay. Okay. Alright, gameplay updates. Yeah, so this gameplay updates, this is probably going to be the camping, camping and tunneling, and then stuff to help out killers. I'm hoping the killer base kit changes address the early game and the fact that you spawn across the map. The survivors can all spawn, split up, start working in gens immediately, and all of the pallets are up. Your power isn't up. If you're on if you're trap or hack, you don't have any trap sets. I think the early game definitely needs help, and then maybe something to make kicking generators actually matter, like like a 100% bonus to the regression rate that currently is. But we'll see here. Generator speeds. When my Discord is going off here. That's kind of annoying. I should turn off notifications, but it's here. When looking at the perks most used by killers, there's a very clear trend. Any perk that, so gen regression. Uh, Many players feel that generators are powered up too quickly without these perks. I mean, realistically, even with those perks, gens can still fly. It's more just an issue of like maps and the efficiency of splitting up. Honestly, those gen regression perks, I don't really like them because I think they just inflate kill rates. You know, Average killers can throw them on to compensate. So if they're also against an average survivor team, it'll help them win. But if you're running like corrupt pop, pain resonance, and like I don't know, like ruin or something, you'll still get shit on by a really good team. Regardless if you have all those perks, because most of those perks require you to get hooks or do something like that, which against a good team you're not going to be able to do much. So I do want them nerfed, but I also want some actual base kit changes to make it so that even if you're a good killer, you don't have to run any of these perks. We've increased the time it takes to power a generator to 90 seconds. I didn't want them to do that. That's like the route I didn't want to go because, I mean, as survivors going to complain about this, going to be like, that's boring. Me, I don't want to shit in generators for 90 seconds. Um, this will do like a bit to help. Realistically, if all 5 gens are done, this buys you an extra 50 seconds total, which isn't a huge amount, but it's like decent. That's the equivalent of like 2.5 pop goes to weasels as it currently is, which is okay. But it's also just going to really help, making it to a gen in time. Think about how many times you go to a gen and it's 99 and the survivors just complete it. With this change, hopefully, that shouldn't be happening as much. It should just give you that extra little bit of time that you need to actually make it to the generator to try and regress it. Um, Yeah, but I still don't really like that much. I would like to see them go a different route. Like, maybe needing a part to power generator that just, make survivors move around the map. It's interactive for them. There's a chance to run into the killer, stuff like that. I just don't really like the flat, increase to generator time, which can also just be completely negated by a toolbox or prove thyself or something like that. Kicking a generator will now instantly remove 2.5% of the maximum progress. So that's not the current progress, that's just 2.5% of a generator. That's not bad, but it's not huge. That's just going to basically stop people from constantly tapping a gen. Like if you've got like the last gen on like 95% and you keep kicking it and they keep running back and tapping it, it's gonna stop that. But it's not gonna do much in the long run. It's still not gonna make gens. It's gonna cancel out the 2 seconds that you take to kick the gen basically. Um, but even then, that's not a great change. I would have liked to see that to be 5% because I do think if a killer finds a generator that no one's working on and kicks it, he should be rewarded with at least a 5% bonus. And which you gotta realize, 5% of a generator, that's only 4 seconds. Well, I mean, now it would actually be slightly longer. I need to calculate this. What would that be then? 4.5 seconds, an extra half a second, but I think 5% would be a lot more. As of now, 2.5% of a generator is actually only going to be 2.25 seconds. Yeah, 2.25 seconds. It's not much, but I mean, it's better than nothing. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, better than nothing. But I would have liked to see a bit more general killer improvements. Oh, so there's gonna be more. Let's see. Kill rates are a little lower than we'd like. I thought the kill rates were fine in terms of behavior. They were looking at, you know, 2 kills per trial. The last time we checked, most kill rates were sitting around 40 to 60%, which seems to be roughly how they like it. But we'll see here. We've reduced the time it takes to break walls and pallets by 10%. Huh, that's pretty nice. That's gonna be might make brawl strength quite nice. I mean, now 2.34 seconds down from 2.6. You take an extra 20% off that. That's an extra like that's gonna be like a 1.8 second pallet break. It's actually not terrible, but um, yeah, it'll help M1 killers a lot. It's not gonna matter hugely for the already strong killers. It might be handy for Oni, but now how am I? Wait, is this gonna affect alternate pallet breaking? Like Compound 33, is it going to break faster now? Is Oni and Blood Fury going to break it faster? Is Bubba going to break it faster? That's what I'm wondering. Hopefully it does, because in that case, stuff like Demogorgon and Shred only breaks it a little bit faster as it is. And with this change, there's now not going to be much of a point to actually breaking it with your power. So hopefully that also, carries over to other, means to breaking pallets. Generators are also kicked 10% faster. Okay. Um, that's okay, I guess. Reduce the cooldown for successful basic attacks. Oh, okay. And reduce the duration of the fire speed boost. So that's just the counter hold and W. That just makes hold and W a lot less. Well, not a lot less, but a little less good. It doesn't really prevent the whole running early off a generator if you're healthy. You see the killer like 15 meters away and you just start running. It's still gonna take the killer like good like 30 seconds to catch up to you. But now when they hit you, if you just run the straight line, you are gonna end up, instead of taking like, another, 20 seconds to catch up, it's maybe only gonna take like 15, 16 seconds now. So that's not bad. Finally, we tweak bloodlust. Oh, is this gonna be like a bloodlust nerf? In which case, that's fair enough. To increase in power quicker, this is going to be changed. They're not going to go through with this. Everyone was talking about remove bloodlust 3 and doing all this shit, and they've just said that they're going to make it activate quicker. Let's see here. We're adjusting bloodlust tiers to activate after 15, 30, and 45. That's like the worst change possible. If anything, what they should have did was remove bloodlust 2 and 3 and make bloodlust 1 activate after like 10 seconds. Now people are just going to probably just bloodlust pallets like way more now. But 35 seconds just to get hit is still a lot of time. They're still going to be punished heavily for it, but I don't think Survivor's going to like this change. I don't think they're going to go through with it. Yeah. I think they might change that bloodlust. I don't think they'll go through with that. Coming in tunneling. Everyone use second chance perks. Prevent unfun situations, but they also create unfun situations for the killer. Like, that removes options from the killers, basically. You can't slug because they have Unbreakable. You can't tunnel because they have DS. You can't camp because they have BT. You can't chase because they have Dead Hard. Just a lot of things, They remove options from the killer, so they need to be changed. Let's see here. Survivors will receive a 5-second endurance stats effect after being unhooked. That's actually not much. That allows the survivor to move 20 meters. 20 meters isn't a huge amount of distance, but it should allow them to get it just prevents you from being like straight up just immediately hit after being on hit. That's okay. And yeah, it is. They are right in saying that it does allow other survivors to get into position for a body block or something. The hook survivor will receive a 7% haste for 5 seconds. That's also good. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, that's just gonna make body blocking really strong now, because you can get unhooked. You can just take over your teammates and then can get into position for it. Yeah, yeah. And they'll be cancelled if you perform a conspicuous action. Yeah, that's just like DS stuff. Like, yeah, okay, so just progress in the game basically. Oh, that's it. That's all the survivor changes. Okay, so no DS base kit. Honestly, I would have liked to see like camping maybe a little bit nerfed a bit more. I just want phase camping to be less effective. With all these killer changes, I honestly wouldn't even have minded if they just made it so you can't get grabbed from a save anymore. Because I feel like, just that would honestly just make face camping completely just, it would remove it from the game, which I wouldn't even mind. Uh, but, that's okay. That's fair enough, I guess. Let's just keep going. Meta perk changes. For killers, yeah, we already know which ones are getting nerfed. Killer meta perk, so I'm guessing I'm just going to get rid of the blood points here, right? Since the prestige system. Yeah. Yeah, they're just going to remove the blood points from barbecue, fair enough. I probably won't even use this perk much anymore. I might still use it like blight and stuff because it's fun, but yeah, I doubt anyone's going to like that. This perk is going to see a massive drop in pick rate. The only reason a lot of people are still going to use it is because they've sort of become accustomed to using it. They might feel like, naked without it. Ruin. I don't think Ruin needs nerfed at all. It's got a good effect, but hex perks are so shit. If you want to nerf Ruin, you need to make hex perks way more consistent because it's such a high risk, high reward. But the risk is so high that it doesn't even matter. So let's see what they do with it here. Not having to stop and kick gens. To bring the Ruin in line, we're reducing to 100%. I don't think Ruin's going to be very good at all now. After a survivor is killed, Hex Ruin will automatically deactivate. Wow. Yeah, no one will use Ruin anymore. Anyone who is still foolishly using Ruin will not use it anymore. It's not going to be a good perk anymore. Not that it already was, it just gets broken immediately, but now even if it doesn't get broken, you can still basically just try and play around it. Poco's the Weasel. Give killers a controlled way to remove significant progress from a gen, okay. Tone down some of the numbers. This perk will now remove 20% of the generator's current progress. And that's pretty bad. Yeah, that's another pretty bad perk. If a gen's like nearly complete and you pop it, that's still fine. But if a gen's on like 50% and you kick it with pop, that's only going to take off like 10% progress, which is 9 seconds. Yeah, pop will still be an okay perk, but it's not going to be nearly as useful as it is right now. I'm scared what they do with corrupt here. Let's see. Makes the beginning much more manageable. Yeah, yes, it makes it playable, not even manageable. It makes matches playable. Without corrupt, you consistently lose 2 to 3 gems on your first chase if the survivors are playing efficiently. Moving forward to killer, the perk will deactivate once the survivor enters the dying state. I don't like that. No, I hate art. I use this perk in blight, and I look at the timer every time I get my first down. On average, I always get my first down about 30 seconds into the game. Granted, I use Lethal Pursuer on him, but that is really bad. I'll still use it on Oni because I'm not likely to get my first down until about a minute and a half anyway. But I feel like you're just kind of punishing killers. I would like to see maybe corrupt just like 30 seconds base kit, and then this extends the duration by like 1 minute. So it's still 30 seconds shorter than it normally is, but you have a base kit. I don't like this change to corrupt intervention. Tinker, probably going to only activate once per gen, right? Yeah, only activate once per gen. That's true though, but now that it's 90 seconds, you actually have plenty of time to get to gen that has Tinker popped on it. I think this is actually probably an overall buff to Tinker, but we'll have to see. Noed, I want to see completely reworked. I just think it's a terrible perk. It's boring. It just inflates the kill rates and prevents behavior from actually seeing how the game really is. I'd say if they straight up just did none of these changes and then removed Nomad, kill rates would just dip, especially in the lower ranks. Kill rates would probably go from like 60% in the lower ranks to like 30% if they straight up just removed Nomad. Let's see here. We like the way Nomad encourages survivors to cleanse, but they don't do that though. Like, that's why survivors complain about it so much, is because they don't cleanse tomes preemptively. Survivors now see the hex tomes are within 4 meters upon activation. This range increases to 24 meters over the course of 30 seconds. Okay, so now basically the way Nowhere is going to work is it's going to activate, you're going to hit someone, you're going to try to face camp them, and then roughly 30, 40 seconds later, Nowhere is going to get cleansed, and then the person's going to get unhooked. Okay, alright, fair enough. Pain Resonance, I say they're going to remove the scream, just so it doesn't. The reason Dead Man Switch isn't getting changed is because I think they're just going to remove the scream from Pain Resonance so it doesn't actually knock you off the gen. With that in mind, we are removing the loud noise notification, and instead of exploding, yeah, it will now spark, and survivors will no longer scream. Yeah, so you don't get the information now, and it won't work with or Dead Man Switch anymore. I think that's fine. I think Pain Resonance is still going to be a very used perk. In fact, I think it's going to be the only one to actually survive this. I say Corrupt won't be used much. I'd say Pop won't be used much. Ruin will basically be dead in the water. But I can see Pain Resonance still being used a lot because it still gives you the 15%, which is really all you need, because you can just pair it with Barbecue and get the information that way. Survivor Met Perks Dead Hard. I want this shit completely reworked. I don't want iframes. I don't want distance. I don't want to see some endurance stats effect. I want to see a perk that says, like, I don't know, like, after unhooking a survivor, you both gain a sprint burst for like 3 seconds. Let's see what they do. By far the most used perk, yes, and it's easy to see why. In the right has acts like a third health state, yes, exactly. And it has to be changed for nearly 6 years to get dodge a hit and gain distance to get to a nearby pillar window, and there's not much a killer can do, therefore Dead will now provide an endurance effect for 1 second. Oh no, that's busted. Nah, no. And you get the movement speed boost if you get hit. No, that's a terrible perk. Alright, think about it. You're injured. A huntress is about to throw a hatchet. As soon as you see that hatchet leave your hand, you activate Dead Hard. Boom. You get hit by the hatchet, and now you get a speed boost, and that huntress basically has to drop chase. You're about to make it to a pallet. The killer sees that. The killer swings. As you see the killer swing, you activate Dead Hard. You don't drop the pallet. They hit you. You get a speed boost away. Blaze rushing at you. Instead of getting hit, you activate this. He hits you, and you get a speed boost away. It doesn't fix it. It's basically still the iframes. They didn't. They didn't really. In reality, they didn't rework Dead Hard. They just removed the distance. The iframes are technically still there, but it's just in the form of endurance. But it's actually better than iframes, because iframes, the killer will miss their lunge and probably just hit you a few seconds later anyway. But with this, the killer hits you, goes through their cooldown, and you get a speed boost. I think that this is honestly a buff against certain killers. This is a buff against Nurse, against Blight, against Oni, against... I don't even know. I think this is only a nerf against like trappers, so you can't dead hard through his traps, and maybe against M1 killers, so you just can't dead hard to a pallet. I hate this change. They're not fixing the main issue with dead hard, which is just it's bullshit, and it just takes away a hit. No, I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. This isn't gonna go down well with me, and it's probably gonna stay like that. 1 second is so long as well, an entire second of endurance. You don't even have to time it well. It's a whole second. It's not even like half a second. It's just like an entire second. No, I don't like that at all. I hate this change. This doesn't fix Dead Hard, which is like the only thing I actually want to change in this entire patch. DS will now be deactivated in the end game, and the stun has been reduced to 3 seconds. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Fine change for DS. It still prevents you from getting tunneled or like punishes the killer a lot, but now it's like if you want to eat a DS, that's not gonna hurt you as much. And in the end game, survivors just straight up can't escape just because they have DS on. BT is probably just gonna increase the duration of the unhooked endurance, right? By 10 seconds and increase the movement speed duration. This is a buff to BT. What? You don't need to. The current endurance status effect that they get isn't huge, but now you have old BT, which is 15 seconds, a movement speed bonus for 15 seconds, and unlike old BT, this one activates outside the killer's tear radius. This is a buff to borrow time. Wow, okay. No, this won't cause their usage rates to drop, they'll stay the same, and this will just be a lot more annoying. Um, and will reduces it by 75% and no longer active while exhausted. That's weird. I don't know how I feel about that. I think one of these changes would be fine. Like, it doesn't work while exhausted or 75%, but I think both is just kind of weird. Self care shouldn't be nerfed, let's see here. To reduce its strength, self care's heal speed will be reduced to 35%. And the item efficiency bonus, wow. If you thought self care in Claudette is going to be annoying, imagine it now. That's like a 40-second base kit heal with self care. And if the killer is like sloppy butcher and you're mangled, that's like a 50-second heal, if not more. That's insane. Spine chill, like the only change I want for spine chill, it shouldn't work against killers that are undetectable. Let's see here. Spine chill will not only activate if the killer has a clear line of sight. Okay. Adding a short 0.5-second lingering effect to spine chill to prevent the killer icon from flickering. This is like a buff on a nerf. You get the movement, yeah, you get the speed bonus for longer, but it's also, the information isn't as reliable. Finally, we're removing the volt speed bonus. Wow. Oh, so they're removing the volt speed bonus from spine chill, but they're not removing it from resilience. Okay. That's actually quite a hefty nerf, but it's still, the problem I have with this perk is it still works against stealth killers. The problem with this perk wasn't any of that. It was just a really good perk, but it completely negated stealth killers was the only issue with it. That's all they needed to do, the spine chill. I don't like that, because they've basically just made the perk like kind of shit against regular killers, but it's still just broken against stealth killers. Okay. Killer purpose overcharge. Generator speed to grew from 100% to 400% over the course of 30 seconds. Wow, that's pretty good. That's like a better Call of Brian. So, wait, hang on. What would that be then? So 300%, that's 100% every 10 seconds. So after 10 seconds, it's going to be regressing twice as fast. After 20 seconds, it's going to be regressing 3 times as fast. And after 30 seconds, it's going to be regressing at the same speed that a survivor repairs it. Okay. That's okay. It's actually going to make it worth it. If you see a gen like 60% and you kick it, and that gen is left for like even 40 seconds, that's actually going to lose a ton of progress. That's actually pretty good. Eruption, I think, is fine, especially at the minute with all of those perks they just nerfed. I think Eruption would already be used a lot, but let's see how they buff it. Increase the regression to 10% and increase the incapacitated to 25 seconds. Wow. That's a huge buff to an already solid perk. Imagine running Eruption and Overcharge. You kick a gen, it begins to regress really fast. Later on, you down someone, and then boom, that gen gets erupted that someone was working on, loses 10% progress, and they can't work on it for 25 seconds. Meaning, not just do they lose 10%, but it's going to regress for 25 seconds, which is going to buy you another, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds of progress. Yeah, like, it's going to buy you like 5 seconds of progress. No, actually, about 6 seconds. Plus, they can't do anything for 25 seconds. That's huge. Eruption is going to be an absolute meta perk at the minute. Knockout. Survivors crawl 50% slower. I thought that was already a part of Knockout, but it turns out it actually isn't. And it reduces the recovery speed by 25%. I like that. That's what I thought Knockout should always be. Unfortunately, it still only works on basic attacks, meaning I can't use this perk on Oni, which it would be really fun on. But nurses are going to have an absolute field day with this perk. If you thought a slug on nurse was already annoying, imagine now they're going to take longer to pick up. Wow. Yeah. Alright. Coulrophobia. Increased the speed of skill checks by 50%. Meh. That's still kind of bad. Dark Devotion. When they lose a health state, okay. Removing the basic attack requirement. Surge, I hope they remove the basic attack requirement. But they're removing the cooldown. Okay, fair enough. It's not going to do much. In fact, it's not going to really do anything. Surge is already a pretty bad perk. I think if they just remove the basic attack requirement, at least all the killers could use it. But at the minute, it's a kind of bad perk that even, like, only like half the killers can use anyway. Let's keep going. Lethal Pursuer. Totally resisting effect. No, extended duration of all aura reading effects by 2 seconds. That's pretty good. Will this work with... Will this work with Compound 21? I think it will, right? This is pretty solid. This would be great for my blight. Gift of Pain. Increased to 16%. Okay. Phobia buff. It's only an extra 2% total. That's pretty negligible. Monster Shrine. Now convert all basement hooks to Scourge hooks. That's pretty good. Additionally, Scourge hooks will grant a 20% faster entity progression if only the killer is not within 24 meters. Wow! That's actually kind of huge. That cuts 12 seconds. That means someone will enter second stage in 48 seconds if the killer's not there. Huh. That's going to really force people to, like, save fast. Also, the basement being Scourge hooks is going to be huge for basement builds with, like, pain res and stuff. Okay. Survivor perk buffs. Camp Spirit will remove the noise made for totems and chests, but reduce the speed. Honestly, could remove the debuff, I think, by just, making it so you cleanse totems not silently. I think that's fine. Saboteur will reveal Scourge auras. That's pretty damn good. Bonding Knowledge increased to 50%. I'm surprised they buffed this perk in the current healing meta. Off the record, gives endurance for 80 seconds and will deactivate like DS. That's actually solid. That's like borrowed time, but for yourself. But with borrowed time being so strong with that buff it just got, I think this perk isn't even necessary because as long as the person unhooks you has borrowed time, you're basically just completely safe. Lucky Break. Each second spent healing another survivor increases the duration by 1 second. Okay, so it's a way to get your Lucky Break back. Fair enough. Pharmacy will activate when you're injured, guaranteeing an med kit then the next time you search a chest. Okay, that's basically just a good way to farm med kits then. Soul Survivor will increase your gen speed by 75%. It's like the old Left Behind. And your hatch and exit speed. Okay, so it's a way for like greedy solo survivors to basically just confirm that they escape, because even if the killer closes the hatch on you, being able to open the gate 50% faster in the endgame basically means you just always get out. Distortion, gain 1 token for every 30 seconds spent in the killer's territory, so as you get more tokens. Lightweight. The scratch marks will fade 5 seconds sooner. What? Oh no. I think that's going to be so annoying. 5 seconds sooner. If you don't know, scratch marks last 10 seconds. Meaning, if you're 5 seconds behind the survivor, you literally won't be able to see their scratch marks. Ooh. I don't know how I feel about that. That could be really annoying to play against. Holy shit. Deja Vu. 5% repair speed to K is fine. 7% movement speed to any survivors you unhook. Is that just in the endgame? Additionally, the perk now activates when the X gates are powered rather than opened. I hope that's only... Okay, let's see here. Dark Sense. The killer comes within 24 meters of you, their auras reveal for 10 seconds. Okay. Tenacity reduces your gross pain by 75%. Okay. Hope. Surprise, this is getting buffed. Remove the duration. It's already 2 minutes, so this might not be a huge buff, but Hope will probably be really annoying. Overzealous, 8% up from 6, I think it was. And now doubles if you cleanse a hex. That's a 16% increase to your repair speed if you cleanse a hex totem. It's actually pretty damn good. But only if the killer is a hex, so it's very situational. and they're just going to remove the blood points from We're Gonna Live Forever. And that's it. Okay, so I think overall, that's really annoying background noise. I think overall, this is okay. I think all of these are fine except for the Dead Hard nerf because it's arguably a buff in some scenarios, whereas yeah, I think this is arguably a buff in some scenarios against some killers. This is going to be so annoying as a Blade player and other, other killers. They just, sort of can't really cancel their, attacks. They have to commit to flicks and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm not really happy with how that Dead Hard nerf's going to go down. But everything else seems fine. I think this is a pretty solid patch, so yeah, we'll have to see. And yeah, this is a long video. Alright,